All right, guys. So the Wolves dominate the Nuggets. The Hawks win a nail biter to the Knicks in a game that has my head spinning on where do I actually focus because so many things happened. And then we have a Cavs-Raptors game that I'm going to be honest, I have not seen any of, but the Raptors won. I'll talk about that one in the next one. Wolves dominated the Nuggets defensively at the end of game 2. Then that carried over to this game where they just looked shell-shocked. The feeling I have now is similar to after game 2 of the series a couple years ago, where the physicality, ball pressure, ball denial off the ball, rotations, all of it just made this team look so overwhelmed. Jokic still can't score on Gobert at all. And also the amount of threes that Jokic has taken through 3 games is crazy. Yes, Aaron Gordon did not play. That matters, but it should not matter to the point where you look completely outmatched by this Wolves team. And that may have been the worst playoff game that Jokic has played since he became this. And I will give you 3 plays. One where Murray fought around just his 9 millionth of his career, Jokic DHO, and you can tell he had a moment of like, oh my God, Jaden's not on me. I actually have a moment here. But then Gobert was just ready for him on the pull-up too. Like he didn't have much airspace. 2 different times when Jokic, one time he tries to drive on Gobert, gets blocked from behind, similar to what happened a couple times in the last game. And then he's holding the ball for like 5 seconds at the free throw line. You can tell he's like preparing himself to challenge this newfound Jokic defender Gobert because he's never looked like this guarding Jokic. And I think he got blocked or he was just swarmed, whatever. It was a miss, right? I don't know if Gobert just grinded the tape of how Jokic has scored on him in 1v1 throughout the years because, I mean, this just looks completely different. I mean, everybody knows at this point, like, him being the off-ball defender was a massive part of the win a couple years ago, right? This is just different. Him guarding Jokic 1v1 like this. And then you add to that, like, some Dante, just good plays in the passing lanes, whatever, here we are. And then on the other end, Jokic defensively in this one, I can't count how many baskets the Wolves had just at the rim versus Jokic. I mean, sure, the breakdowns beforehand happened, where, let's say, Hardaway's helping off at Jaden a little too much, and then Ant is finding Jaden, or it's Jokic and probably Brown doubling Ant, and then it's a skip to Jaden, who then has a drive, or, you know, it's Randall bodying Cam Johnson in the post, and then it's him challenging Jokic at the rim. Like, there are things that happen beforehand, or like Bruce Brown losing Io on a backdoor cut after Dante runs a screen action to Jokic. Like, all that's happening. But the amount of shots of, like, Io, or Randall, or Jaden, or Rudy on that one when he caught it on the roll and then just finished on Jokic with the 3-point play at the rim. I mean, again, possibly the worst playoff game of Jokic's career since he became this. Also, Dante was very successful on like flare screens, and Jokic wasn't up high enough on some of those. I should have remembered to give Dante more credit for the last one because he was really, really good in that one and made plays in this one. I mean, Io, for the what feels like the first time this series, was able to repeatedly have his moments of just pushing off of anything, and he was able to get Jokic at the rim some. I mean, can only really describe it in so many ways. And so what I'm going to say is actually what I somehow remember myself saying after game 2 of the series a couple years ago. Granted, at that time they had Gordon, but it's be ready to match the intensity. I mean, they turned it up a little bit in the third quarter, but that's not going to do it. And one of the questions I had going into the series was, will the Wolves' defensive energy get to what it was a couple years ago? The answer has been yes. 23 points on 11 shots for Io. Shout out to him. This is why you make a move like that. So yeah, we'll see if the Nuggets can match the energy, and then we'll just see if they can find a specific play type that just opens up the floor for them. If you got to do like some empty side, Jokic, Murray, DHO stuff, maybe somebody else screening for Murray, maybe somebody screening for Jokic to just throw a different look at Gobert. That's how we got the dunk early, although they did mess up one of their, they messed up everything the Nuggets ran today, but they did try an inverted screen at some point in this game. Unless I'm forgetting, I don't know. Hey, listen, Jaden had those statements after the game 2. He just said the whole team sucks on defense, and well, that's the game you got to have when Jaden says that. And, of course, we will see if Gordon is healthy. And, I mean, Spencer Jones, they're not going to fear him from outside, but still, Gordon being out should not result in you looking that bad. Okay, now we go on to this Knicks-Hawks game where, listen, man, usually I feel at least decently confident in something to really focus on after a game. This one just felt like so many different things. I mean, I guess I can start with Mikal Bridges was just so forgettable in this game that Mike Brown just said, it's not going to be you anymore. Deuce finished out the game for the Knicks. Gave them some life as a shooter. Didn't like all the shots he took, but he certainly gave them life as a shooter, transition plays, and also just as a screen setter for Brunson. And they also moved around the defensive matchups a little bit. And, I mean, the Knicks did outscore the Hawks in the second half, even if there were still some bad moments for them. But I think the story of this game was the deficit early on, where on one end, Atlanta was putting Brunson in just kind of everything, and whether it's a double, whether it's somebody's comfortable taking a shot over Brunson, like Gabe Vincent had a 3 where he was involved in an off-ball set at Brunson, CJ. I mean, of course, CJ had the 2 massive shots late But early on as well, he was having some success shooting over Brunson. They brought like 2 to the ball on one time, and that became a Kuminga 3, or I think it was multiple Kuminga 3s in this great game that Kuminga had, right? And then the other thing that was happening in that deficit is, number one, Mikal was on the court, which I'm just going to say, Mikal Bridges had a 67 offensive rating in this game. That is unbelievably bad. But anyway, it just felt like the Knicks were searching for anything on offense to start this game, where they were trying to get CJ switching to Brunson, and the Hawks were either doubling, or it was like CJ get up very high on the Brunson screen and then recover back, and the angle of like how Josh Hart would screen for Brunson on some of these, even if it was involved with CJ or not, wasn't really ideal for Brunson to like throw it over the top to Hart. And then Dyson defensively early was doing some smart stuff where like he would get around Cat screening for Brunson, because they actually did go to that a little bit in the beginning of the game. And the way he would get around it is he would actually like go under Cat, but not so far under that Brunson would be able to get like a pull-up 3 on him. And then Okongwu was navigating it pretty good. Like, they really had the Knicks in a bind offensively in this first half. The Knicks also did miss some shots. I will say one play the Knicks had before we eventually get to the second half. The one play the Knicks had where I was like, wait a minute, there's more here, was an empty side action with Cat and Alvarado, which resulted in Cat driving on CJ on a switch. And I was like, if they can get to this 6 times a game, their whole lives are going to feel better on offense. But I think this was the only time they could really get to that. And also, they missed some threes. Did I say that? Anyway, they do have like a nice little second quarter run, and then eventually Mikal's out of the game. Deuce is in there. And then the Knicks do have some success, some of it being that OG just started converting every play that had the ball end up in his hands, whether it was a 3, an offensive rebound, a cut, whatever, as well as what felt like 6 or 7 defensive plays where he just came out of nowhere as a help defender to mess up something at the rim for the Hawks. And then Cat started scoring on Okongwu a little bit, and it's like, okay, maybe they're going to figure this out, right? And then along the way, I don't know, man. Like, Nickeil had 3 transition 3s in that third quarter. He didn't have a great game overall, but like they lost him on 3 different transition opportunities. In that third, you had a fourth quarter stretch where they just kept on putting Brunson in the actions, and they weren't conceding the switch to CJ as much, but like still, like Jalen Johnson was able to get downhill for 1 or 2 of these. Josh Hart falls down in a 3, or a shot that Jalen Johnson makes that's a 3, and Kuminga also had a basket late there where it's the same thing. You know, we're going to put Brunson in the action, and they've got to like overhelp in order to protect Brunson, and then Kuminga's getting open. Again, Kuminga had a great game. I'm scrambling. Like, I'm searching for the big picture here, and I guess it's just there's always something with the Knicks that's just a little off. Like, we never can really get to the 2-man game like we want to, or we can never get the Brunson switch as easily as we want to, or at least right now we can't, or 1 or 2 things are going to go wrong, or we have a big enough deficit, or Mike Brown's going to go with another no Cat, no Brunson lineup at the beginning of the fourth where Clarkson missed some stuff or whatever, and then they lose. I mean, yeah, CJ had to hit a couple of big shots late, and we saw a couple of plays of Brunson just being swarmed into turnovers or bad passes or whatever, including one at the end where I don't completely know what the plan was. But, and yeah, they're down 2-1. I don't know. I mean, look, credit to the Hawks. I hope I'm giving them enough credit. I just continue to be so confused with the Knicks. Like, sometimes it's going well, and then sometimes it's just really not going well. So yeah, and again, we have a Cavs-Raptors game that I will get caught up on and talk about on the next one, and yeah, that's it, guys. Have a good one. I mean, we got 2-1 Wolves and 2-1 Knicks. We're going to learn some things about the Knicks and the Nuggets in these upcoming games, and also, I might get both series wrong. We'll see.